Today on Dr. Phil, alarming fads.
She doesn't understand how dangerous this is.
Teens huffing to get high.
I never did anything to overdose.
The very fact that you don't see the problem is a problem.
Plus, women risking their lives for beauty.
I'm pale right now. I've been trying to get some sun.
So you could look good on a show about over-tanning.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
I know things are tough out there, but we can do this. If it matters to you, that's what I want to talk about.
10 seconds to air.
Well, thank you. This is going to be a changing day in your life.
Ready, camera 5.
Take track.
All right, we have all seen the fads out there. You've seen them. You see them on these infomercials and all the time. Lose 10 pounds in a week. Look younger with Botox. Feel better with a tan. And even the infomercials which guarantee you that you can get rich quick. You think, oh, we know better than that. But do we really? What happens when people become seduced by the latest trends which can have dangerous and sometimes deadly consequences? Let's take a look at some of the latest fads making headlines.
Quick fixes and fads, cleansing diet.
Laxatives, the magic weight loss pill.
It is a deadly trend, and now it's resurfacing among teens. Huffing. When teens get high by breathing in chemicals and compressed air.
If it doesn't kill you the first time, there could be long-term kidney damage, brain damage.
Tannaholic or tannorexic, addicted to tanning, found that the risk of skin cancer jumps by 75% when people start using tanning beds before the age of 30.
Everyone likes being bronze, and it just makes you feel better about yourself.
Well, inhalant use, better known as huffing, is one of the least expensive ways young kids can get high. Your teenagers could be doing this with a number of substances right in your own home, right under your noses. That's what happened with parents Karen and Randall. Their 15-year-old daughter Hannah was getting high from huffing an aerosol computer spray cleaner and said it made her feel like an out-of-body experience.
My daughter Hannah is 15 years old.
She is very smart, very intelligent. She was a great friend to her friends.
I never thought Hannah would do drugs, especially huffing. In 6th grade is when things started changing. She got in with a new group of friends.
I basically decided that it's my life and I'm the one that should be controlling it, not my parents.
We found out that she was smoking and drinking.
We were going to ground her, but then we discovered a bombshell. Hannah was going to run away.
My friends told my parents that I was gonna run, and they had my friends search my room. They found keyboard duster in my closet.
Hannah was huffing computer cleaner.
I was devastated. This is one of a father's biggest nightmares.
I had heard a number of reports of people dying the first time that they tried it. She was doing that in our home, and I could have walked in at any moment to find her dead.
I was huffing like every other day. When I'd huff, I'd just usually take my hood like that and then put it there.
The night that we found out about Hannah wanting to run away, we had called a rehab center, and the following day we held an intervention.
I was really mad when I found out they were doing the intervention because no one was telling me what was going on. Finally, they were just like, we're going to rehab.
Hannah has been in rehab now 49 days. She is not willing to give up any of the substance abuse.
Hannah feels that huffing is okay.
I feel like I'm the worst father in the world because a father's supposed to protect his children, and I failed.
I'd really like my parents to understand that I'm 15 and I can make my own life decisions. I mean, it's my life. I'm the one that has to die when it's my time to die, so let me live my life the way I want to.
All right. What is most disturbing to you about what she says? I made a list as I was watching it. I'm curious what jumps out at you.
She doesn't understand how dangerous this is. And, she doesn't think there's anything wrong with it. And, that her life may end very soon. And it doesn't bother her.
Did you see this coming at all before you discovered it?
There was nothing. She is a bright girl. She's very active.
And this is what I want parents to know here. You didn't see any behaviors. You didn't see any drop in her academics. You didn't see any change in her patterns. You just discovered this virtually out of the blue.
That's correct. I mean,
and at this point, 49 days into the mission of getting her to change her point of view, to recognize the danger of this, she's still telling you that she doesn't want to give up what she's doing and doesn't want to give up the friends that are involved with what she's doing.
No, sir.
What do you see your job being as parents at this point?
What I see as my job as a parent is to get her to 18 years of age. If I can just get her to 18 years of age, maybe she'll live, and maybe she'll come to realize how devastating this is.
Why did she want to run away?
Because we had been told by one of her friends that she had been smoking and drinking. And we knew the crowd that she'd been hanging around with, so we grounded her from being with them, and she got very angry.
So where were these bad seeds coming from?
She's trying to tell us that she's the one, nobody forced her to do this, that, you know, she's the one that saw them doing it and she thought it would be fun.
Now, what she's telling you is that when she does this, she likened it to like when you sleep on your arm and it goes to sleep and is completely numb. She says her whole body feels like that when she sniffs this. Are you aware of that?
No.
Is this a point where you're willing to draw the line and say, my job as a parent, as you say, is to get her to the next level in life, alive and intact?
When we found that note that she was willing to run away, we felt that at that point we were at our wits' end. We didn't know what else to do. And at least where she's at now, she's at least protected to some degree.
And she's how old?
15.
She's 15. So understand, at this point, you have some authority. You have some ability to impose restrictions on her, to impose treatment on her. When she hits a certain age, 17 or 18, where she has the ability to now emancipate, if that's what she chooses to do, or to just leave, at that point you become influencers, not controllers. This is where you need to make your stand. The thing that bothers me the most, and what I am so proud of with you two, is that when you saw the first signs of this, you acted right then. She says you overreacted. I say that you acted. This battle isn't over. It's just started, but you took action in a responsible way and did the right thing. Do you have doubts about that? Do you have guilt about it? Be honest.
No, I have no guilt.
You have no guilt about that. Dad, how about you?
I wondered at first if we had overreacted, but you know, now that I have found out since she's been in rehab that she's been doing this for 3 months, I don't think we've overreacted.
You've done the right thing in the right way. Now, next, we're going to meet Hannah, actually, who says she'd rather die young and have fun than be old and bored. So we're going to talk to her next. We'll be right back.
I never felt like I was addicted to huffing. It's just an extracurricular activity like softball. I never felt like I was gonna die or get hurt from huffing. I mean, a lot of my friends did it. Nothing ever happened to them. Why would it happen to me? When I got into middle school, I just didn't like the whole family traditions we had. Like, I had to go to church like 5 times a week. My dad would always make me like read my Bible every day. Couldn't watch like movies that were above PG rating. Couldn't watch SpongeBob. Finally, like, all right, no, this is like crazy stuff. I'm gonna do my own thing. So I did.
Well, today we're talking to people who find themselves caught up in a dangerous fad that can sometimes lead to fatal outcomes. Now, Karen and Randall were shocked to learn that their 15-year-old daughter, Hannah, was getting high using a household cleaner. Now, Hannah was able to get permission to leave the rehab facility, Inspirations. It's a teen rehab, to be here today. And so she's accompanied by her doctor, Dr. Hughes, who's overseeing her treatments. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Do you have any doubt that your parents love you?
I know they've always like done their best raising me. That's never been it. Like, I've always thought you were good parents. It's just like some techniques I didn't agree with.
Okay, but you believe that they love you?
Yes.
Do you believe that they want the best for you?
Yes.
You just disagree with how they're going about it.
Yeah, I guess.
And your expertise comes from where?
Didn't get a doctorate or anything.
No,
I just think I know me and what works for me better than anybody.
Have you had parenting classes?
No.
Have you studied family dynamics?
No.
Have you had any type of training in neurology or brain functioning or anything of the sort? If you've had a child and they came in just from school one day and said, you know, I'm kind of bored today, I think I'll sniff some airplane glue. Would you be okay with that?
No, like I don't think parents should like encourage their kids to do drugs or anything like that.
Why not?
Because I mean, I know it's bad for you, but I mean, if a kid wants to get high, if that's what they want to do, no matter what rules you put on them, they're gonna do it. Like the only way you can make that not happen is if they're like locked up.
What is it you don't like about you that causes you to have to distort your reality with this foreign substance?
I'm fine with myself. I just think that it's fun. I mean, I had other ways of having fun. Like, I really like theater and cheerleading.
But the difference between theater and sniffing toxic substances is theater won't kill millions of brain cells, and inhaling these toxic substances will.
Well, I mean, I've seen tons of people do it several times, and nothing's ever happened to any of them.
No, it is happening to them. You just haven't seen the result of it yet. It's happening. It really will bite you, but you don't believe that?
I guess it just doesn't scare me because it's down the road.
If you went home today, you would do this again, wouldn't you?
No. I honestly wouldn't.
Why?
Because, I mean, I want to go home, and I want to get my friends that I had back. And the only way to do that is to not do drugs.
So you've had an epiphany since yesterday?
No.
Because yesterday you told my producers that given the opportunity, you would do it again.
Oh, I know what they're referring to. Yeah, I'll do stuff later on, but not while I'm under their roof.
Why do you enjoy it so much?
I guess for the, adrenaline rush. It wasn't necessarily like drugs that I liked. It was just like from misbehaving, I guess, kind of gives you a thrill.
All right, we've got to take a break. Next, Mom Karen says her 15-year-old daughter Hannah wants to get emancipated at age 17. She fears she could end up in the morgue if that happens. So we'll talk to all three of these folks when we come back.
Hannah has been telling us that when she turns 17, she wants to emancipate herself. If Hannah emancipates herself, I know that she will go back to these friends, and I know that she will go back to huffing. And I can't imagine her doing this much longer before it kills her.
Well, today we're talking about how trying things that are all the rage can sometimes lead to deadly outcomes. Now, Karen and Randall's 15-year-old daughter, Hannah, is in rehab. She wound up there because her parents discovered that she was doing what's called huffing. They fear she could end up dead if she doesn't stop inhaling everything from paint thinner to glue to keyboard cleaner, anything that has this effect on her. I've got a couple of people here today that I want to talk to. Dr. Urschel is with us today. He's an addictionologist who runs the Urschel Recovery Science Institute in Dallas, Texas. He says huffing is more common in adolescence and has more dangerous consequences than an addiction to meth. I want to talk to Dr. Urschel. I also want to talk to Dr. Hughes, who is the CEO of Inspiration's Teen Rehab Program and is actually helping Hannah with recovery. He is joined by Chris and Karen Walsh, owners of Inspiration's Teen Rehab. Dr. Urschel, let me start with you. Is this dangerous, or am I just overreacting here?
I think you're not overreacting. Inhalants are by far the most toxic substances that you can abuse. They're very corrosive to the brain and other areas of the body. And unlike what Hannah was saying earlier, she can die from just one huffing episode. There's a medical disease called sudden sniffing death, where actually one episode of huffing can cause your heart to stop immediately with no other pre-existing problems with your heart or other previous signs. This is a very dangerous addiction, probably the most dangerous that's out there. Look what she already told us. She just said when she huffs it, her whole body goes numb. That means the whole brain is shutting down.
Why would these guys say this if it's not true?
I never said I didn't believe it wasn't true. I'm just saying that, I mean, people always say odds are it's going to happen, but I've seen it so many times and it hasn't happened yet, so.
How many times have you seen this?
Well, I've seen friends do it like at least 20 times before I tried it, then I did it like at least 20 times and nothing happened to me. And
Dr. Hughes, talk to me about what you strive to do at Inspirations. What is the strategy?
At Inspirations, we focus on areas of coping skills. We also look at analyzing and assessing their tolerance. In the beginning, Hannah would start out with smaller cans of dust cleaner, and over time, her tolerance has built up. The same as one would do with cigarettes. They start out with 1 or 2 cigarettes, and eventually they're up to a pack a day. So my concern for Hannah is that she grasps the tools that we teach her at the center, the alter avoiding, acknowledge, accepting, avoiding situations that can be, of course, not only stressful, but very dangerous to her, and of course, knowing the effects of each of these particular drugs and its mixtures.
Do you think you're being helped by what you're doing, or do you think you don't need help, so it's not really an issue?
I don't think I need help. I mean, I have no problem quitting drugs.
You know, the very fact that you don't see the problem is a problem in and of itself. I mean, do you understand that logic, even if you don't agree with it?
I see the problem. I know drugs are bad. It just doesn't scare me. That's the problem.
Is she ready to come home, in your view?
No, she's not ready to come home at all.
Mother, is she ready to come home, in your view?
No.
Dr. Hughes?
Clinically speaking, she needs additional services and treatment from our center.
What do you want to say?
Well, like, you were asking me if I had, like, any training or anything like that. Like, I mean, do you have any training to decide whether I'm ready to come home? My therapists all think that I'm doing great and I'm ready to come home. They think I'm the kind that's not gonna relapse.
None of your counselors have said to us that you're ready to come home.
Well, then they've been telling you different than they've been telling me.
Well, Dr. Hughes is here, and I've just asked you, do you feel that she needs additional work?
Very much so.
This is the guy. He runs the program. And this is something that I don't think anybody's wanting to do this to you. They're wanting to do it with you, for you.
But they don't understand. I don't have a problem with quitting drugs. So why do I need help if I am able and willing to not do drugs anymore? Why do I need treatment?
I can let Dr. Hughes answer that.
She's showing 2 characteristics significant to dependence: tolerance and withdrawal. Tolerance is her ability to use more and more amount of that drug over time, and withdrawal are the negative side effects that she's physiologically and psychologically
But I had
experiencing.
no withdrawals.
Well, I know that Randall and Karen's insurance is running out. You guys have said that you think Hannah's not ready to come home. We've spoken to Chris and Karen Walsh, who are owners of Inspirations Teen Rehab, and they want to be able to continue their work with Hannah, and they have offered to extend her stay for a long-term treatment plan and could extend her stay as much as a year, which is horrible news for her, but I assume terrific news for you guys. How do you feel about that, Dad?
I think it's like an answer to prayer.
But you guys are willing to step up and help here any way that you can.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes.
Well, she's not very happy about that, right?
Because no one's listening to me.
I'm listening to you. I hear what you say. I can make your arguments for you. I just don't agree with them. And When you choose the behavior, you choose the consequences. And you chose the behavior of taking life-threatening actions. And your parents chose the behavior of stepping up and doing their job to protect you from yourself. These people have stepped up and said they will help as well. And at some point, that will become clear to you. You're not a bad kid. You're extremely articulate. You make very well-hinged arguments. They're just based on suppositions that aren't true. When you tell me that based on observing 40 opportunities to see somebody sniff a toxic and poisonous substance, and therefore that's evidence that it's okay, then you lose credibility with me because you don't know what you're talking about. That's just my opinion. I never ask people to substitute my judgment for their own. You're her parents. You have to make the call. You have competent professionals down here that are dedicated and devoted people that make this their life. Everybody is of one accord. I don't disagree with any of you. Okay, coming up, 1 million people a day step into a tanning booth for that perfect bronze glow. We're going to talk about two women whose obsession has them tanning 6 days a week, sometimes twice a day. Are they putting themselves in harm's way? We'll talk about that when we come back.
Tanned a total of 45 minutes. That would equal about 24 hours in the sun.
Ashley would prefer to be in a coffin than not to be a tan at all.
I think when I die, it'll be of skin cancer, but I'll be looking good and looking tan, so I don't care.
Now, Erin says that she's been tanning since she was 8 years old. She's now 51. She owns her own tanning bed in her house and even allows her 14-year-old daughter to tan as well.
I've used tanning beds for over 20 years. This is my tanning bed, and this is the second one I've owned. I paid about $4,000 for it. I get a lot of use out of this tanning bed. At your tanning salons, you cannot tan more than once a day. I am freckled, fair skin, and they would put me in it for 4 minutes, and that wasn't long enough for me. I've gone into the tanning bed in the morning, and then I've come home and gone in the evening. When it turns off, turn it back on. So I have tanned a total of 45 minutes. That would equal about 24 hours in the sun. I have probably 20 different kinds of tanning lotions. This is over $100. When I'm outside tanning, I will use this product. It's not an actual tanning product. It's an oil sheen for your hair. I do feel like I've got my daughters hooked on tanning. I've allowed my 14-year-old daughter, Rachel, to tan daily for the maximum amount of time. I do think Rachel looks better with the tan. The darker, the better.
Well, 23-year-old Ashley is addicted to tanning and feels that she could never be tan enough.
My daughter Ashley's tanning is way out of control.
I'm definitely a tanaholic. I'll go to the beach. I'll get there around noon, leave around 5, whenever the sun's going down. And then afterwards, I'll go straight to the tanning bed. I've tanned so much, especially in the tanning bed, that I've become immune. My skin won't get browner. It won't. I upped the minutes, so now I'm going longer, and I just started using a new lotion. It burns you, and it hurts very much, but the results are getting better.
Ashley would prefer to be in a coffin than not to be a tan at all.
Every time I lay out the beach, I come home with a new freckle, a new spot. That one, too, I should get looked at. It's 2 different colors. That's a bad sign. I just cover it up with makeup and don't think about it again.
I refuse to put sunscreen on anyone. I'm afraid it'll get between my fingers, and then I'll be white in between. I won't even hold a bottle of sunscreen. I think when I die, it'll be of skin cancer, but I'll be looking good and looking tan, so I don't care.
Okay. Now, guys, listen, y'all are both intelligent women. You know what the impact is of exposure to the sun and in tanning booze. Are you in denial about this, Ashley?
No, I know it's bad for me. I do.
But you do it anyway. Yeah. Are you tan now? Do you consider yourself pretty tan?
I'm pale right now. I've been trying to get some sun this whole weekend.
So you would what?
So I can look good.
So you could look good on a show about over-tanning.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you say to yourself about this?
The darker the better.
What about that is better?
It makes you look more awake and thinner, and you just look healthy.
Do you think it ages you?
Yes. I'm
so
noticing
you'd rather
more
look
now.
old and awake and thinner. I want to introduce you to somebody. Dr. Millard Zisser is joining us today. Now, he's a dermatologist with a private practice at Cedars-Sinai Medical Towers over here. He says avoiding skin cancer is a very simple process. Dr. Zisser, what's going on here?
I think they are sort of mortgaging their future for temporary pleasure and satisfaction.
What does it do to them?
There's nothing good about ultraviolet light. It's damaging to the skin. It has acute problems, sunburning and inflammation. Chronically, there's premature wrinkling and aging. There is skin cancer. The sun suppresses the immune system. The only function, positive function, is the synthesis of vitamin D, which you don't need the sun to have. You can get that in a capsule form.
What do you think about what Dr. Zisser's saying?
I think about it, but then I just dismiss it, that it's not going to happen to me.
Once you do the damage, you can't undo it. It's cumulative over time. Then you have to deal with the consequences that develop.
Well, let's take a look at the damage that can be done. And these are all examples of melanoma, right?
That is correct. We have what we call the ABCDs of melanoma. A is asymmetry. In other words, one half looks different than the other. The lesion on the left is benign or harmless because, first of all, it's well defined and both halves look identical. On the right, we see something that looks different between one side and the other. Okay.
All right, here's B. Irregular, scalloped, or poorly defined borders.
If you look at the outline or the border of the lesion on the left, it's very well defined. It's circular. On the right, it's very irregular. Even though the pigmentation is even throughout, the border is markedly irregular.
What's that tell you on the right?
It tells us it's a very suspicious lesion.
Okay.
It needs to be biopsied to determine exactly what it is and verify what that lesion is.
Okay, and let's look at C. The colors varied from one area to the other.
That is correct. The lesion on the left, the color is even throughout. On the other lesion, even though the border is somewhat even, there are multiple colors in this lesion. So that's grossly abnormal.
Diameter is usually greater than 6 millimeters, but it can be smaller.
6 millimeters is the diameter of a pencil eraser. I like to get them smaller than that. I like the earlier the better, and there's no substitute for looking at the patient very carefully. Now, these are only guidelines. There are harmless things that can look suspicious too. And it's only a dermatologist that can have a high degree of suspicion and biopsy a lesion, which is very easy to do, and there's no reason not to if it looks suspicious.
Okay, so you're not offering these for people to self-diagnose. You're just letting them know how to look themselves over and say, I need to go get checked, right?
Correct. Anything that looks suspicious.
All right, next, we did our own experiment with Ashley and Aaron to see firsthand the toll the sun has had on both of these women. We'll be right back.
Over 15 moles have been removed from me. My doctor told me they were pre-cancerous and to stay out of the tanning bed. I just felt like, well, he removed them, so if I get more, he can remove those again.
Well, today we're talking to people who some think are risking their lives to follow a trend. I mean, something that's cosmetic. Aaron and Ashley are self-proclaimed sun addicts. Now, joining us is Dr. Orden. He's one of the co-hosts of the hit show, The Doctors. He's a plastic surgeon. He deals with the reconstruction of people's faces who have spent too much time in the sun. Now, this can get real serious, right?
That's right, Dr. Phil. We don't just do facelifts, and I hope to make this a teachable moment for these lovely ladies, even when they're not tan. And this is something they have to come to grips with, that they're attractive. They have this idea in their minds, they have to be charcoal to be attractive. In fact, that's not attractive.
Okay, now, particularly with you sitting next to Dr. Zisser, you two are in direct contrast here. You're very tan.
Well, I'm like you, Dr. Phil. When we're not here, we're out there playing golf and tennis, and fortunately, my skin doesn't burn. I don't leave the house without a 30 on. If I'm out playing golf or tennis, it's 50, and I've never been in a tanning booth.
You say you never go out without a 30 on. You're talking about a sunscreen.
Correct.
Which is a 30. Is that enough, Dr. Zisser?
Yes, 15 or greater. But now we have sunscreens that protect against ultraviolet A. That causes premature aging and wrinkling. It also causes some skin cancers, and it also inhibits the immune system. So you need a sunscreen that is SPF 15 or better and has protection against ultraviolet A and B. You must apply it again after 4 hours of being out of doors.
You brought some photos with you showing the effects of the sun damage and what you've had to do to fix these things. What are we looking at here? What did you have to do here?
Okay, this is a 60-year-old basal cell carcinoma. It appeared as an eraser-sized lesion, but what happens, as Dr. Zisser said, a lot of times these lesions are much bigger below the skin. So this is following Mohs chemosurgery. This is the defect that was left from the excision of the basal cell carcinoma.
So they had to cut this out.
This is a big hole in your face.
Okay, so you had to fix that.
I mean, we're able to fix that, and you know, this is something we do, and I think we do it well, but the point is, you want to avoid being in that position in the first place.
All right, let's take a look at the nose.
This is even more dramatic. Years and years of unprotected sunbathing. Well, this is what happened. She lost essentially half of her nose. Yes, we were able to reconstruct it.
All right, well, let's look at what you had to do that.
That's the result.
Let's take a look at the operation.
I had to open up the entire face and create what we call flaps so I could advance that tissue into closing that nose.
Okay. No, take a look at that.
No, you need to take a look at it because if not sooner or later, you will get skin cancer. And in the name of vanity, that's part of you. You don't want this on your face.
Okay, and you were able to fix this, but it's this is no small operation.
That's a huge operation.
Okay, now you have a daughter. What do I need to do to get you to not do that?
I won't.
And Dr. Zisser, a lot of this damage is done at these young ages, right?
Well, there's a very big study done looking at tanning beds, and they discover that, yes, it contributes to both melanoma and squamous cell cancer, especially if you've begun using a tanning bed before the age of 35.
Well, before the show today, we had both Aaron and Ashley get into the Coppertone Derma Photo booth, which takes a UV photograph, which reveals the actual damage the sun has had on their face. Now, people can take a photo to the dermatologist if they have a concern. Aaron, let's take a look at your result first. Perhaps you need to think twice about allowing your 14-year-old to get into your tanning bed. Okay, this shows where there is sun damage on your face. Does that surprise you?
It surprises me.
Ashley, let's take a look at your results. You certainly have sun damage. There's no question about it. Have we said anything that impacts your thinking about this at all?
You have, but I know I'll still tan. I will. You
understand how irrational that is, right?
I think as much as I do it, yes. Not only do I think I look better, but I don't want to say I get a high from it, but I do feel better from being in the tanning bed.
All right, next, Stephanie lost 80 pounds using a diet pill called phentermine. She's tempted to start popping the pills again to keep the weight off. We'll talk about it when we come back.
The phentermine changed my life completely. It gave me energy. I would just want to go, 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 go. I was taking the pills. I would be mean.
Stephanie says she lost 80 pounds using an appetite suppressant called phentermine. She said she loved it because the weight just rolled off her body, and she even lost as much as 12 pounds in a week.
I started doing the phentermine diet program because I knew a lot of people dropping weight extremely fast, and I wanted to be one of those people. At 5'4", 251 pounds, I wasn't active anymore. I didn't coach softball anymore. It kind of hurts your feelings when you're so active doing something, and then you can't do it anymore. The phentermine changed my life completely. It gave me energy. I would just want to go, 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 go. I had lost 80 pounds. Even though my husband liked, that I had lost weight, he complained a lot that while I was taking the pills, I would be mean and I was moody. The diet clinic never explained to me about side effects. I would feel nauseous to the point where I was going to pass out. My heart would beat pretty hard, where I would get scared. I stopped taking phentermine 3 months ago because it was making me feel more sick. My target weight is 165 pounds, and I'm about 15 to 20 pounds away from that. I still want to use the phentermine. I just want to make sure that it's not going to hurt me.
You got a prescription for this, right?
Right.
And they gave it to you for how long?
I would get 30 pills a month, and I would take one a day.
Okay, and is there a safe period of time they told you could take this?
No.
You're off of the pill now,
Yes.
and you're thinking about going back on it.
Yeah.
What happened when you came off of it?
Of course, I gained about 10 pounds back, but didn't have any side effects anymore.
And so your question is, what, should you start it back?
Should I start it back? And the side effects that I was experiencing, were they dangerous? And have I lost so much weight to the point where it's not healthy for me?
And what
to
were
do
your
this
side
again?
effects? Your heart was racing?
My heart would race at times.
You had
At times
headaches?
I would get headaches, feel like I would have to catch myself, pass out, and I would feel nauseous.
You have to catch yourself from passing out?
Like I would just feel like dizzy.
Well, Dr. Urschel is here. We've talked to him already in the show today. He specializes in addictions to drugs and alcohol, and he knows the specific dangers of this particular drug and how safely to stop using it. What's the story on this drug?
Well, phentermine is a synthetic amphetamine. It's a stimulant, so it's in the same class as ecstasy, amphetamine. So, and it's part of the dangerous fen-phen combination that used to cause so many heart problems in 30% of the people during that kind of diet craze or that diet fad in the past. So, it actually came out in 1960, and there's not been one clinical trial done on the medication since it was approved by the FDA. So, we really don't know a lot about it.
Wow.
And because it's a stimulant, it can be addicting. I don't think you got addicted to it. I think you used it appropriately with the diet center's oversight. However, getting the side effects of the cardiovascular problems, you can also get side effects such as depression, irritability, insomnia. There's a whole host of symptoms.
Did you have any of those symptoms?
My husband told me when I was taking the pills, I would snap and I would be very mean.
Okay. How was your sleep?
I wouldn't sleep. If I took it in the afternoon, I would stay up about till 2 in the morning.
But is this an approved drug? So it's okay?
It's an FDA-approved drug. It's to be used for a maximum of 3 months in the context of a multifaceted approach to weight control.
This is approved for 3 months?
3 months for, 12 weeks.
And how long did you take it?
9 months, and I actually stopped it myself.
9 months?
9 months.
So they kept prescribing it to you?
Every month.
For 9 months. But that's not the guideline.
That's definitely way beyond. It's 3 times outside the guideline.
That's insane. I never knew that.
While you did lose the weight, there were side effects that were showing up, and you've already used the drug way longer than it would normally be prescribed for. I would say it would be an inherently bad idea to go back to this drug. Dr. Urschel?
Without question. Remember, they used to use amphetamines and methamphetamines back in the 40s and 50s for weight loss. Those became addicting, so let's not
So
have
you don't
fall.
want to do this?
No, I'm done.
And you don't need to be tanning either?
No.
All right, we'll be right back. We've been talking about some things that can be dangerous for you today, and I'd like to thank all of my guests today. Dr. Zisser, thank you for showing us the truth about all of this stuff. That's scary. It's scary and it's treatable. That's what I love. Dr. Orden, we don't want to see you for these kind of problems, right?
No, you don't.
I mean, that's
Come see me for a facelift.
Yeah, come see you for a facelift. All right. Dr. Urschel, thanks for your wisdom and insight on all of this. And also to Dr. Hughes and Chris and Karen Walsh of Inspirations Teen Rehab. And by the way, everybody in the audience today is going home with Coppertone Sport with replenishing antioxidants SPF 50 and Coppertone Sensitive Skin SPF 50. And don't just go home with it, use it. It's not a paperweight. You actually have to use this stuff. Please send in your questions at drphil.com. You can also check out my blog at blogdrphil.com, or you can tweet me on Twitter. Thanks for being here. So long. Thanks, guys. See y'all. See y'all.